can go, Frederic.
Okay, hello everyone. Thank you to be there. We are from us. Despite it's in the virtual world, but it's quite funny to do it like this. And we had a first experience last year, so I think we have some experience in that, and it's funny to do this way and to be in a relation with all of you. I will speak about our association, which is a CST, and will present it. CST is the High Technical Commission for Image and Sound, and I am the project manager there for immersion and real-time department. And I will show you some topics about what we do today and from where we come from. So, CST is a French association of cinema and audiovisual professionals. We are around 600 active members, and we have 2,500 auditor members who are people less involved, but can take part to any of our working groups. Quite old, because it was created more than 70 years ago. Here you have two examples of old publications from 50s and 60s about cinema studios and international standardization. So we came from cinema and audiovisual industries. CST has become a reference in France in cinema and media industries, mainly because of the quality of its work and the quality of its members. We have technical directors, directors of operations, many veteran technicians from all kinds of jobs, and we are in touch with almost any stakeholders from camera makers to artistic or technical service providers. So what we do, we have three main missions, and I will explain each of these points right now with you. We shared and discussed about best practices within the profession in several ways. We often organize some meetings like this one today to share our thoughts with companies about actual new topics, eventually, or any companies have solved any issue, or it may just be a good place to stay up to date. For example, we can speak about some technical things like sound pressure level in content mixes. We can speak about skill transmission across generations. We can speak about pruning. It's quite large. We organize some training and some workshops. For example, we organized this year a training about color science, mainly about understand different kind of color science, color spaces, how to take benefit from them during image processing and color grading, how to display them the best way. And we had offered several kind of trainings through the years. We also let companies who create tools or offer services to be able to demonstrate their products to our community. As you know, technology is evolving so quickly and information is so everywhere that having direct discussion from this company are more and more necessary for us. It's also a good way for them to confront to real life or to collect feedback from users. Recently, we had several presentations where the company who have built a new wave field synthesis system. We had several demonstrations of in-camera autofocus systems based on IA, and we had also a deep learning-based system which aimed to automate production of sports shows. So we also have to do a sort of technical advance. We have to be in contact with all the new technologies are going to the market. One thing we are the most appreciated for is our technical recommendations. We meet in work groups and we try to standardize our craft. By now, we are working, for example, on sound listening conditions into editing rooms, on sound isolation into theaters, on post-production budgets, on ecology. Some of these publications have a real impact on the industry. This is the case of the one about the data management in digital production, which is used as a reference by both production and insurance companies. Furthermore, some of them has become international standard, like our work on IMF application 4, an high-quality file format for digital cinema masters. Okay, our second point is technical support for professionals. We have a team who is doing consulting for theaters with around 180 missions per year to allow them to offer the best possible experience to their audience. Also, we provide really appreciated tools to both theaters and studios to let them calibrate their screening rooms and production systems. 3 years ago, we have created 2 technical labels to distinguish best-in-class theaters. They cover both traditional and immersive cinema screening, and we provide them precise technical analysis. Our expertise is also shown today at some festivals like Cannes and international festivals, because we are in charge there of screenings and all the technical operations. We are mainly funded by the Centre National du Cinéma, which is the public institution in France about motion pictures. So we have some more official missions from it. It's mainly a regulatory control, but we can have also some commissions studies. And the third mission is to be a clubhouse for other professional associations. We offer them mainly some rooms because we have quite cool space and other practical advantages for them. This way, we are really in touch with all crafts in the industry. Today, I would like to share you 2 trends. The first is virtual production, and the second, you know it quite well. It's more or less immersive content. Cinema industry have new a deep transformation with the replacement of film by files. It has begun 20 years ago, and since then, we see a multiplication of new technologies that are being used on set. Virtual production, it's about mixing images and live action directly in front of the camera. It offers many advantages like security for the actors, or money saving as the team can stay into the same studio. But as you see, cinematographers have done this for decades using rear and front projections on set. This technology has not really evolved since 1930. Until 3 main technologies were put together and allowed to get much further. So here you see the tech demonstration Unreal done in 2019. The 3 technologies, there is LED walls, which can emit a big amount of luminance and have become more and more good in terms of color. You have tracking of the camera position, and you have an evolution in terms of quality and performance in the real-time rendering software. So now, you can achieve real-time parallax, you can light the real world with the virtual world. And these changes are huge, despite it's not plug and play at all. It requires many skills, and it will not solve every shooting situations. You probably have seen this kind of picture those days, because this technology has been massively reported into all kinds of medias when The Mandalorian from Disney has been shooted. And today in France, it's a reality. We have around 5 big studios like this one at La Planète Rouge, able to adapt to future film situations. Many questions are arising for service providers, for professionals who must already train or who must coordinate on such productions. And this is exactly where we can help at CST. On the other hand, we see then after 5 years, when Street and HTC Vive entered into the market, and despite several pessimist predictions about VR especially, it's like immersive and interactive content sector is slowly finding its way through the years. And we have many companies in France working in this area. Some of them are internationally recognized, and you probably know some of them. The fact is that we think that this sector suffers a lot from the lack of technical standards because of quality assurance mainly, because of ease of use, compatibility across devices, skills, best optimization. So we decided to bring together professionals exactly the same way we already do it in the cinema industry and begin to speak together. Today we are about 20 people, and we have begun to contribute to 2 working groups. It's a early beginning, some new exciting work for us, and it will soon have creators, content productions, distributors, or other festivals in the daily life. We have also our very first associate members, and we thank them a lot for their motivation and for their confidence. Okay, so we are exhibitors this year. You can go and say hello to us. Not really in virtual world because we do not have a lot of time to be there, but do not hesitate to go in the virtual world. We have some message. You can go to our accounts, diverse accounts. You will see our post-it there. And in the real world, we are in the B booth. Thank you a lot, and thank you à Laval Virtual for the introduction for us.
Thank you, Frederic.
I let the best to
Yeah, thank you very much, Frederic. So, Jordan, Grover, can go. Okay, guys.
Hi, just a quick question. Can we use 2 screens?
Yes, sorry. Can you repeat, Jordan?
My question is, can we use 2 screens? Because one, we tested and the video in the Google Slides doesn't appear, so I'm gonna put the video in one screen and the presentation in the middle.
You can, absolutely.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna use the screen on the left. Okay. And we are all set.
Okay, thank you, Jordan. So, hello everyone. Welcome to our talk about cloud-based AR solution for mobile experience. So, I'm Grover Anderson, and I'm a product owner at LTU.
And my name is Jordane Richter, and I'm Chief Sales and Marketing Officer at Light and Shadows.
So LTU is a computer vision company created in 2001. It has been acquired by French investors 3 years ago, and since then, our ambition is to create innovative products by leveraging our visual recognition technologies. We have currently 23 talents and we have 19 active patents.
And Light and Shadows has been created in 2009. We are experts in 3D technology, so regular 3D, but also augmented reality and virtual reality. We have three main expertise. First one is 3D artists. So we have a pool of 3D artists, and Light and Shadows is quite well known for the quality and realism of our production. We have an expertise, of course, in development as well of augmented reality and virtual reality application. And our third expertise is in hardware, where we try to associate hardware with our experiences to make them more immersive. And we have two core businesses. First one is in manufacturing. We help improve industrial process of our clients. And second one is marketing, where we highlight the product and services of our clients using 3D technologies, such as configurator, but also using augmented reality, like in our case today.
Yep. So today, in the title, we talk about mobile experience. Mobile experience refers to solutions that can inform, reassure, or entertain mobile users by giving them content available on their smartphones. And it's not about replacing the physical world with a full digital experience. It's more about bringing additional information while offering a dynamic experience to the users. And LinkMe, the product developed by LTU and LNS, enables the link between this physical media and the digital content. So we can add to our physical media pictures, video, links, and AR content. And we will focus on this part today. And let's see the short demo video of what is LinkMe. The left screen.
Exactly. Look at the other screen for the video.
So yeah, this was a small presentation of what LinkMe is. I'll let Jordan explain the role of light and shadows in this process.
Thank you, Grover. So, as Grover said, LTU and Light and Shadows joined forces to create LinkMe, and I'm gonna explain you the process on Light and Shadows part to make this happen. And Light and Shadows' responsibility was more to create the content in augmented reality that we're gonna add to the application. So first, the first challenge is to model the content, the 3D content, because we are talking about augmented reality playing on a mobile device. So the first challenge, of course, is the optimization of this content. So the work of our graphic designer and 3D artist is to really model the content in a way that the 3D data doesn't weight too much weight. The second challenge is texturing and shader, because this help make the content, the 3D content, more realistic, and as we said, like this product can help clients give more information, make dream people, like you use your mobile phone to make something appear. So texturing and shader are very important as well. Then there is the animation phase. Animating your 3D content is essential to make it yeah, more interactive with your potential targets. So Light and Shadows is doing the animation here when needed, of course, because we can also display something fixed. The next step is the lighting. The lighting helps a lot making objects and 3D data look more realistic. Then the export of the 3D content in the back office of LinkMe, of course. And the last step where Light and Shadows intervene is the test and validation on the different platform.
Yep. And then when we have this the 3D model in our back office, we have to position and scale it in relation to the reference image it will be used to, associated to, so that it will look good on a mobile screen. And then we store this information on the cloud, and it can be stored at LTU servers or at our customers' servers. And then the next step happens on the back office of LinkMe, our administration tool, where our customers can actually link the reference image and the 3D model, so that when end user scans the reference image, the 3D model displays on the mobile screen. And in this administration tool, we can quickly change any model associated with an image just by updating a URL link, and the effect is real time. So we have a demonstration of this at our stand, of how easily and how quickly you can update the model associated to a reference image. So you can come check it out on booth A12. You will find Jordan there. Um, and so now that we have a reference image linked to a 3D model, well, the end user will be able to scan it thanks to the LinkMe application available on iOS and Android. And if requested by our customers, we are able to rebrand the application with their names. And then in the administration tool, you can find reporting to measure your users' engagement. So you have access to many metrics like how many times your image has been flashed, what time of the day, what day of the week, unique users, etc., etc. So this is it. So you may be wondering how can you use this product. So we have several use cases. For instance, for brand experience, you can connect your packaging for specific events. For instance, at this moment we have the Euro Football Cup. Well, you could connect a specific packaging design for this event with an additional AR model, 3D model, video whatsoever, and it helps increase the brand image and increase the sale by giving additional contents to the consumer. And it can also increase the customer loyalty to the brand. We also have use cases in printing media. For instance, we have a science magazine that was writing about the last rover that landed on Mars. Well, they thought it would be fun for the readers to be able to see the 3D model when they scan the cover. So we created this model, and we associated it to the cover. And when the readers scan this cover, they can see the 3D model and play with it. So it also increases here the perceived value of the magazine and the reader's loyalty by giving them this kind of additional content. For the training part, one of our customers wanted to link its printed training material to additional digital content for educational purpose, and our solution was the perfect bridge for that, to be able to add this digital content to the printed media. And as you've seen in the demonstration video, we can also use it for arts purposes. We can connect paintings, for instance, and we can imagine a new way of discovering the works of painters while walking through the alleys of a museum. So there are many uses of link me. I would say the limit is your imagination, and yeah, LTU and LAS is there to help you with that. So thank you for your attention.
Yeah, thank you very much for your attention. So if you are at Laval at Espace Mayenne, you can join us in A12, the booth A12. And if you're here in the virtual world, you can, I think our booth is C26 in Exhibition Hall 1.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. So we'll now have a small break, and then Frederic Lecompte will go on with his talk and his presentation. Thank you, Frederic.
Welcome.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fine, thanks. Glad to be here.
Glad to be here as well and be here with you. So, Color finished a bit earlier than anticipated, but if you're ready, I think you can go.
Okay, cool. Just wait for the presentation.
Yeah, don't worry. Take your time.
Well, hello everyone. Maybe I start talking while the presentation is being uploaded. So I'm Frederic Lecompte, co-founder of Backligth. So yeah, there is a little mistake in the name of the studio, so it's not Backligth. And I'm glad to be here. Always a pleasure to be in Laval. And now I'm gonna wait maybe for the presentation to here.
Bonjour Frédéric, vous m'entendez?
Oui.
Vous avez votre présentation ou normalement elle devrait être affichée?
J'ai envoyé, elle devrait être affichée normalement. J'ai envoyé ce matin.
Alors, je vois ça tout de suite. Sinon, si vous l'avez, vous pouvez la mettre vous-même, hein, comme ça sera plus simple pour pas prendre plus longtemps.
Oui, pas de souci.
Merci beaucoup.
Alors, je la... Hop.
Ou sinon, si vous voulez, Frédéric, vous pouvez m'envoyer le lien de votre présentation en privé et je l'afficherai si ça vous va.
Alors, je viens de l'envoyer là.
Parfait, je fais ça de suite.
Bien, merci.
Normalement, c'est bon.
Ok, parfait.
Pas de souci. Vous pouvez commencer.
Génial. So, hi again, everyone. Glad to be here. And I'm gonna share with you today some of our trade secrets to make a high quality, immersive VR experience. So, basically, and to support my point, I will illustrate those trade secrets with our flagship creations and everything we have discovered over the past 7 years in terms of immersive tricks. So it's going to be rich, and I lost a few minutes not having my presentation, so I will have a little time. So hang in there and let's go for the presentation. Well, so for those who don't know Backligth, well, I invite you to visit our website. Just note that we all came from the video game industry before founding Backligth around the CG animation know-how. And we also started developing in AR back in 2010. So immersive tech was not a new thing for us when we decided to invest the VR field. So 2014 is a key date for us. We had Oculus DK1 at the studio, and we started to play with it. But we took VR seriously when we received the DK2 and its tracking solution, because we felt like VR was becoming real. And we decided to produce our very first content, Birdie Kingland, and let's have a look at what we discovered when we decided to create Birdie. So at that time, there was no room scale or no controllers, and we had to find a way to provide cool experience with the technical constraints of the moment. So we made a roller coaster because sensations is cool, but we made it the Backligth way, and we brought our know-how from animation, adding storytelling and strong art direction to the ride. A recipe that would soon become our seal of quality. So back in 2015, and because of our core market, we were lucky enough to work for brands and advertising. And we released in early 2015 our first VR campaigns. The first one for UMM was a ride like Birdie Kingland, but we benefit from the second one for Point P to experiment things and experiment two missing stuff that we thought would be interesting to have. First one was high fidelity rendering, and we made our first project for Point P using Unreal Engine at the moment, and the engine was to become our main one since then. And we also experimented interaction, and we integrated leap motion in Unreal Engine because it was not available at that time. That allowed us to interact while using DK2. So yeah, those are the kind of things that we experiment when we create VR content. And we also signed our very first international licensing deals with Burdick England, used on Dynamics installation in Korea, in Eastern Europe. So yeah, we could feel like location-based VR was arriving slowly but surely. Back in 2015, we started to hear a lot about environment effects and haptics at that time. That was something that triggered our attention. Maybe you heard about the Marriott VR experiences. And we decided to make our own when a client came to us to create a groundbreaking VR experience. So we designed for ATR a dedicated installation that integrated vibrating floor and wind generators. Our first hyper-reality installation was born, and the first one of a long series. And we use those techniques also to upgrade Burdick England. Nobody can see the presentation. Yeah.
No, we can't see it.
Okay. Yanis, do you know what's happening?
I mean, we see the main page from storytelling to story living.
Okay. Sorry, because in my presentation. Oh.
Yes, just like Jordan said, you need to scroll to see the presentation.
I was scrolling, yeah, but I was not clicking. Sorry, my mistake. So yeah, I was telling about Backlight's pass through its different creations, so through time and through different projects. So I was mentioning Burdick England. Now you see the slide. Okay.
Seems like we can scroll ourselves inside your presentation.
Okay. So I was talking about ATR. Now, normally you should see the slide behind me. Yep, perfect. So ATR was our very first hyper reality installation, and the first one of hopefully a pretty long series. We also made the camp, which was pretty interesting because at that time we made a lot of projects, literally a lot. And the camp was our first project using HTC Vive. So we didn't took any benefits from the room scale feature. We used it to get several people in the same setup, but in a passive experiences. Now let's move to 2017. As 2017 was a pretty key date for us as well. We were about to release 3 major projects that are still used today, and some very good projects we are proud of. So we made at that moment Diesel, a project that you might have experienced in shows or events. And for this project, we experimented our very first full body avatar solutions with controllers fixed on the leg and leap motion for the ends because there was no tracker at that time. And it's also one of our first room scale experience and the first one in which we use the physical setup to enhance immersion. If you tried the game, you might remember the hole in the ledge. Let's move now to top an experience we made for Renault, which is pretty cool because it was reconducted for 3 years before COVID. And we experimented our very first multiplayer experience with Pit Stop, as well as photogrammetry to get realistic rendering And for the first time, we use Backpack to get a complete freedom feeling. I'm going to move fast on the next two, but Valerian is interesting because it's the first project we made using IP, and the Scream is our first artistic project. And the real project that changed the game was Eclipse. Eclipse is a kind of jewel for us, as it's oh, you still see page one? Let me just have a look. When I look at the screen behind me,
yes,
the presentation seems okay.
For each person, they see a different presentation. You can
yes.
scroll into it to have the right slides. If you don't scroll, you can see only the first slide. You need to scroll yourself. It seems to be local.
Okay.
Can you tell us on which slide we are?
Okay, so we are slide. Let me just have a look. Slide 13.
13. Oh, okay.
Slide 13, I'm talking about what we learned with Eclipse, which is a collaborative game that brings a true social dimension to the project with a very cool full body awareness solution that we made thanks to Vive trackers. And a free roaming concept we created, free roaming being free roaming in a room scale, mainly based on plane shifting. The idea was to fool people's mind by taking the best from a small footprint. So basically, for 30 minutes, 4 players embody the crew of Eclipse, investigating 2 different spaceships and covering thousands of square feet without using any VR manual teleportation. And all movements are natural thanks to wireless hardware and enhanced by the use of haptics. For instance, a vibrating floor in Eclipse. So the idea was to transform a VR game in a true VR experience. So we can switch to slide 14. This one is cool because it's the first time we were working on a real fat IP, which was Iron Man from Marvel. And on the next slide, up, you will see information regarding Toyland, which is one of my favorite creations. And truly a stunning experience because we integrated dynamic seats in a large-scale multi-user experience and just figure out what would be the result when Toy Story meets Apocalypse Now. And you will experience at the scale of a toy some fights in places in a kid room. And here again, you won't use any kind of teleportation. You will get dynamic transitions between the scenes thanks to the dynamic devices. So we're going to move to slide 16. This one, Kiri, is a small project, but I'm mentioning it because it's the first time we experience odorama in a VR experience, and it's pretty efficient. And slide 20. One of our main projects called Ice Cube Protocol, which is basically just take everything we learned previously and add 2 or 3 new cool features, shake it and you'll get Ice Cube Protocol. So it's 77 square meters of pure fun, including a vibrating floor, wind and heat, as well as green screen feature. But the key feature of Ice Cube is a system of team shifting algorithm we made. Yeah, we talk about algorithm. Some might call it AI, but we call that algorithm. And that enables us to get 5 new players each 15 minutes in the same setup. So it's pretty mind-blowing for the public and for the operators. So that's it for the presentation of our historical project. I don't know if I can get a few minutes more.
Yes, you can, Frederic.
Okay, cool. So Yep, we arrived in 2020 and COVID arrived as well. So if you move to page 21, you'll see that COVID didn't prevent us from creating and producing new projects. We were lucky enough to release Laval de Paris with Blancali, in which we tried for the first time live performance in a VR experience. This project means a lot because it was quite hard to create, and the success it met when it was for the first time open to the public in Madrid was clearly a blessing in the middle of the COVID pandemic. And if you go to the next slide, slide 21, this is another flagship project we made during COVID pandemic. We released our Oz Experience brand, which is basically a brand dedicated to gather all our location-based VR licenses and installations, but under the same banner. And it was also to prepare a move we were working on for a few months now, which is next slide, slide 22. 21, sorry. Area 15, we opened our very first venue, our Oz Experience Park in Area 15, wonderful experience center in Las Vegas. And it displays our whole catalog, only a few installations, but the idea was that for that park to reflect Backlight's vision, the vision of VR entertainment being more than cheap installation displaying zombie shooting games. And yeah, we are pretty glad because it's a success. We are getting close to 30,000 players in less than 6 months. And hopefully we're going to have more venues opening very soon. And yep, so just to quickly jump to the conclusion. So feel free to take any kind of tricks that we experience during our creations. Normally, if you take some of them, you should have something interesting to provide. But let's finish with 2 advices, because it's not about listing features to make a good VR experiences. If I was to provide 2 advices, 2 pieces of advice, that would be first, before trying to adapt VR to your needs or your beliefs, you should start to know VR. And to know VR, you will have to make VR. It's maybe easier to say than to do, but for instance, we had the chance at Backligth to work for brands, and we developed more than 70 VR projects for 7 years now. So it enabled us to experiment, to know VR, and also to remain independent because we didn't have to raise money. We created value by working on concrete projects. And we also had our R&D financed by brands asking us to create innovative experiences. So that's a pretty good way to know VR and to make a good use of VR. And the second advice would be to consider VR as a theater piece. As you know, VR is hybrid. It takes from video games, from movies, from attraction, in our case. But the secret sauce for a good VR experience should be taken from theater. Because the basic rule of theater is time, place, and action unicity. And that's the secret of a successful immersion. Sorry, I should have told you which slide we were. We are slide 24. Because the secret of a successful immersion is to provide a truly immersive feeling. And if your public truly gets immersed, they will just love the story you will tell them whenever it can be, because they will literally live that story. And that's linking to our next slide, slide 25. And the title of this presentation, From Storytelling to Story Living. So Jump to the last slide. If you were wondering what our next project are or where to experience Le Bal de Paris de Blancali or Ice Cube Protocol, or do I really look as handsome as my avatar, simply follow us on social networks. And that's it. Sorry for the bug with the presentation. Thanks for listening to me, and feel free to get in touch and enjoy the rest of the show.
Thank you, Frederic. So now the next lecturer, Doyle, sorry, is absent. So we will now put a video on the main screen.
Hi there, my name's Paul Doyle. I'm the Director of Product Management for MetaHuman at Epic Games. MetaHuman is Epic's endeavor for populating the metaverse, how we think about digital humans and digital life, how we think about the representation of the individual, how we want to be seen in these myriad of different game worlds and interactive worlds and experiences. But also, how do we bring those worlds to life? How do you make it easy for someone to populate those worlds? So today I'm going to talk to you a bit about the tool that we just released, MetaHuman Creator, and show you a bit of what we're doing there. Epic itself, we've been around for nearly 30 years now. We were founded by Tim Sweeney, and he still runs the company today, and I think that's part of what enables us to have this vision towards the metaverse and where we might be able to get to. We're a truly global company, experiencing a lot of growth as a consequence of Fortnite. And building up offices all the time. So if anyone's out there, by all means go to the website and look at the We're Hiring section. So alongside the games that we build, we also build Unreal Engine. And Unreal Engine is the set of tools that we have for building our own games and experiences. And also this is something we make available for free to our customers for all of the things that they want to do. So the standard space of video games, but also things like virtual production, advertising, all kinds of linear content and interactive tools and applications. So I think, and this is one of the interesting shifts that we've seen over the last, let's say 10 years, but I think it's definitely accelerating now, is it used to be that games were this distinct environment and then you'd have a different place for different types of content. And we're really heading towards this transmedia vision of you have one place where you build your experiences and where you build your assets, and then you publish or push to multiple different platforms from that same place. And I think that's pretty key, and it was part of the challenge of MetaHuman itself, actually, is how do you create these characters and then have them able to hit all of these different platforms. So as I mentioned, it's not just games, there are many different industries. I think we're seeing right now with the push from Apple and Facebook and others into the 3D space, any industry that uses 3D benefits from having real-time versions of that 3D data, whether that's car configurators or online shopping. 3D is ultimately everywhere, both physically and digitally, and it's absolutely booming and blowing up. But obviously I'm here to talk about digital humans and metahumans. And so one of the things that really drove us a couple of years ago was looking at the type of content that was being built and realizing that you had to have highly specialized teams and capabilities, lots of resources, lots of time to be able to build these characters. And truly, if you want to populate the metaverse and make it available to everyone, it has to be feasible for people to quickly and easily create these sorts of characters at this kind of quality. And that's where MetaHuman Creator comes in. This notion of anyone should be able to create these characters, and yet they should simultaneously be at least on par with the best digital humans that you see in video games today. So historically, we'd worked on a few different projects. So Unreal Engine itself had worked on a few different projects with various partners. I think in particular, two of the interesting ones would be 3Lateral and Cubic Motion, who both joined Epic over the last few years, really to support and drive this overall endeavor. So I think we'd shown what was possible for super talented teams with a lot of resources. And then our efforts over the last couple of years have been, how do we turn this into a tool that anyone could use? So just running
I could be one of many.
the teaser trailer. I'll now put myself on mute.
主人公にだってなれる
Je pourrais être architecte.
Ou guide.
Quizá un artista. You create the narrative.
I am MetaHuman.
Okay, so I'm now going to attempt to do a live demo, so we'll see how this goes. And that's a great start. So, as you can see from this, MetaHuman Creator is a web-based streamed application. So what we're doing is running all of the heavy lifting on the back end here, and then streaming the application itself to the browser. So this means that you can build and create these characters on within any browser on a desktop. We're not there yet with touchscreen interfaces and so forth. But otherwise, yeah, you can run this on a pretty lightweight machine. Okay, so I've loaded up a session of MetaHuman Creator. What's happening here is we're running this in the cloud. So there is a powerful instance running in the background that's running MetaHuman Creator there, and then streaming that via our pixel streaming framework straight to my browser. And so I can run this on a lightweight machine as long as I'm, it's mouse and keyboard only right now. But aside from that, performance-wise, all of the heavy lifting is being done at the back end, and really the browser is just capturing my interaction so that I'm able to work with the tool. So I'm going to step through a very quick demo. I'll preface this with a warning: I'm not an artist, and whilst I can create a believable photorealistic digital human, I think you still need strong artistic sensibilities, an idea of anatomy and composition and so forth to create great looking characters. I think it's one of the keys with Epic and Unreal Engine is we don't have this view of you can just automate everything. I think it's more we seek to augment the artistic process and remove some of the heavy lifting and dog work for things like creating levels of detail and other kind of labor-intensive workflows. Okay, so I'm going to pick my starting character as Hannah. So MetaHuman starts up, gives me a quick animation showing me Hannah. I decide, okay, I quite like this start point, but I want to make some changes. So I'm going to pick some characters to set up as the presets. We'll pick, who should we have? And then, there we go. So these are my 3 starting presets. And what that sets up is a blend space. And so what I'm going to do here is when I pick a point, I'm weighting essentially the outcome according to those different presets. So we're going to shift these points. Where are we at? There we go. So you start seeing essentially that weighting happening. And so that's a little heavy. So we will go. I can either go, yeah, there we go. Right. So I'm reasonably happy with that, but I want to get a little bit of more fine control possible here. So now I move to the sculpt tool. And what this is doing is actually from the back end of MetaHuman itself, what we've done is scanned a lot of different people and created this library of anatomically correct features and so forth that we then synthesize into these completely fictitious digital humans that you're seeing here. So what happens when I'm moving one of these points in space, although we call it sculpting, really what it is fitting. It's like, what do we have that works according to this space? And then how do I do all of the clever work to make this coherent as part of the overall character? So quick and easy. Then I run the preview again. Reasonably happy there. But I decide, okay, I'm going to make some changes. So first thing is I want to work with, let's go with a mohawk. That's pretty cool. And then skin-wise, I'm reasonably happy overall, but I might take a look. Need to stop the animation. I can change the tone somewhat here. So go a little there. And I decide some light freckles. And even here, I want to take out some of the redness. So you can spend forever messing around in here. But again, just to give you a sense of the kind of control that you have. Likewise, if I want to zoom in a bit, let's go with blue eyes. Okay, that's a bit more interesting. And then with the iris even, I can start making changes there, increase the size of the iris, darkness of the limbus. So you can spend a lot of time in here. Teeth, it starts getting a bit strange. Running joke is we can go and have a look at some British teeth. Not quite sure that's British, but I feel judged. And there we go. So again, I can run through that preview. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. So now I'm going to look at the body. I decide I want to change to a different size. And then how about we put her in a hoodie? Yeah. And then have a pair of shorts. And even some shoes. I think she's already wearing running shoes. Okay. So now we can go through the preview animation again and have another look. So I think the important thing here is what we're not trying to do is provide this full library of clothing options here. We will add to this over time, but once you've created your character, you can then bake this out of MetaHuman and then load it into Unreal Engine as a normal asset, and so your normal clothing and other pipeline pieces are at work there. Okay, so I'm going to stop with the MetaHuman demo, and we will get back to this. So lastly, I wanted to talk a bit about community creations. I think it's been really exciting and interesting to see what people have done here. Within days of us releasing MetaHuman Creator, people producing rich characters, bringing them into their short stories built with the Unreal Engine. And I think the most interesting thing for us has been seeing these one-person armies that are now able to write a script, direct it, shoot it, light it, perform in it. They can do everything now, whereas before it was much harder. If you wanted to do that kind of photorealistic content, you needed a lot of time and resources and technical ability to be able to create those characters. I think, so we're just very excited to see what people are producing and what more there is to come. And so this is an example. I think you go from what I was showing you in the demo, which is there purely for authoring purposes, so it's not designed to be lit moodily or anything like that. It's designed just to make content creation choices. But once someone's in Unreal Engine and able to take advantage of our rendering and lighting tools, I think the results are just great. I think this is my favorite. I think this is the first one I looked, and at a glance, hard to tell. Obviously, as soon as characters start moving, you start falling into the uncanny valley again. There's always a new problem that we have to try and solve. But I think for this in a real-time engine is phenomenal. And this is one of my other favorites, where like a single frame telling a story, a compelling character. I think it's just awesome. I love it. And then seeing some of the short films that people are making. This is a couple of minutes long piece that just blew me away. Getting essentially the performer using an iPhone and live link within Unreal Engine to do a performance capture, then having this character literally terrified of what's going to happen to him, and seeing that turned around in such a short period of time, it just leaves us very excited about the future for MetaHuman and for Unreal. And this one there, just for some comedy value, this is someone tried to do his drunk uncle in MetaHuman, and just made me laugh. So, we started off this talk saying, well, we're going to talk about how we populate the metaverse. I think it's important to recognize that the metaverse is not well defined yet. We have a sense of where it's going, sense of the capabilities, this notion of everything in the world ultimately becoming, having a 3D, a digital double, but then also all of these creative endeavors, these game worlds, interactive worlds. Do we end up with something like Ready Player One? What is it actually going to be? I think it's very hard we can't be definitive yet. But I think one thing that we know for sure is that people are fascinated in how they might depict themselves in these different worlds. And I think it's critical for the metaverse that we are able to have a sense of our own identity there, represent ourselves in the ways that we choose. And so, this was what I showed you today, was the first step for Epic and Unreal Engine and MetaHuman along this path to populating the metaverse. So I hope you enjoyed the talk. You can ping me on Twitter. My handle's @FabricPaul. Otherwise, go use MetaHuman. It's free. Have fun. And thank you very much for your time.
thank you for your attention. Now that Paul's videos are over, Maud can go on with your presentation.
Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me well, but I guess you can. Oops.
Yes.
Didn't want to do that. Sorry. So in real life, I'm a lady, but here I decided to be a male cowboy with a super bird. My name is Maud Clavier, and I create content in various XR platforms, and I will tell you a little bit my story. I don't have a presentation, but I will put my website in the chat, like that you can go and check it if you wish while I'm doing this presentation. I started in the 360 film industry in 2015 because 1 year previously to that, I was creating my production company to create short films for brand and for fiction features. And when I discovered 360 film as an option of creation, I was super amazed and I wanted to be one of the first to use this tool to create something. As someone who had a performing art background, I loved the 360 because I could stage people all around me and have actors play for several minutes without cutting them. So it was a really new way of creating. And for 4 years, I've been the CEO of a company called Clap and Zap, and I was creating and producing 360 films for brand content on one hand, and for short feature films for festival in the other hand. At the same time, we had a lot of people creating content for single user, very ambitious studios such as Atlas 5 in France and many others. But I was more comfortable in 360 film industry because I could do a lot myself. I was a single creator. I didn't have a lot of budget to create amazing project. So I could put my hands into it. And like, as Frederic said, I could learn by doing over and over and over. And I created my own company in 2018, and I started creating my own 360 films, 360 documentaries, and one of them was called Filamu. It was filmed in Tanzania with Afro-American commenting it in the story, and it was going through many festivals. I created another one last year called Believe. And recently, when we had the first lockdown, I felt like everyone very lonely and I didn't know what to do too much. And I discovered a WhatsApp group called XR Crowd. It was a community of people working in VR and discovering many virtual platforms, including VRBilla and many others. So I've been on this group discovering virtual platforms over and over. And I really felt in love with the fact of being with other people in virtual worlds, being able to create virtual environments quite easily in some of the platforms. So I worked for a corporate event at the beginning in Engage, doing XR Crowd events. And later on, I thought I wanted to do more entertainment things inside the virtual platforms. And I discovered a company called VRrOOm, and they did many events during the first lockdown, festivals called Break Down These Walls, Go East. After the lockdown, they've done a first concert of Jean-Michel Jarre called Alone Together. I was there as an audience person, and I thought, oh wow, this is exactly what I want to do. I want to create entertainment events in virtual platforms. So I contacted the CEO of this company, Louis Cacciutolo, and we started to discuss, and we started to work together on the first edition of Venice in VR, and it was happening in VR chat, Venice VR Expanded. And it was very interesting for me because at this time I was not the artistic creator, I was the project manager. And at VRrOOm, there is a great team of designers, developers, and so on. So we worked on this Venice and we learned a lot of things because organizing a virtual event is very different to a real event, and in terms of timing, organization, and everything. But again, we had a great time, and during Venice, I also discovered that I had a new passion. It was to film inside VR chats. At that time, it was September 2020. There were no tools in VR chat to film properly. I could just film my screen. And then I had this project of the second project of Jean-Michel Jarre called Welcome to the Other Side, which has been a very big concert happening for New Year's Eve last year. Maybe you heard of that one. And I was the project manager on one hand, and I was also the film director on the other hand. So we need to create new tools with the developer team to implement cameras inside of Unity, because only Unity works with VR chat. So we develop under Unity. We had many cameras in the virtual world. They needed to create special keyboards control for me. Hello? Oh, sorry, you were unmuted. So we created a lot of tools for doing a broadcast of the concert inside of VRChat, and we discovered also tools, VRC lens, cameras that could have blur effect, zoom effect. We could do drones and many things. And we did this whole concert that was a very huge project in 2.5 months. And what I like also about creating worlds inside social VR platforms on top of sharing moments with people is that the projects are going really fast, because people who are creating their games from scratch, like Backligth is doing, is very ambitious project, and it takes, you know, maybe many years, many months. I don't know exactly, but it takes a while to create something. While here we can be very agile because the platforms already exist and we create a world inside of it and some features. After the Jean-Michel Jarre project, I learned a lot because Jean-Michel Jarre is very, he has a high expectation in terms of video directing and what he wanted in VRChat. So we were very proud and happy of the results. And then I started to work for other festivals, always having the same role. On one hand, being the project manager, and on the other hand, being the one doing the films during the events. And I wonder if we will have more broadcasting tool in every platforms we use, even in VRBilla, in other platforms, to have super cinematic cameras, because it gives really something more when you broadcast your virtual events, to have a great video of that, to have nice close-ups, nice shots. When it's a large view and people see that in flat screen, it doesn't give them the will to join the events. So that's why I'm here today, to be the creator of this panel and to then have a talk with all the speakers that were there previously to talk more about, on the creative side, what we can do. And all this, I'm just going to check the time quickly because I know, oh, it's supposed to be in 10 minutes, the talk. Okay, I have time. But I'm not sure I have things to say for 10 minutes. Do you have questions in the chat, maybe? Well, if you have questions, feel free to ask them to me. If you don't have question, maybe we can have a very short break before doing the roundtable. But to introduce you, the goal of this upcoming roundtable is to have all the speakers we heard before, but to have them talk about different topics. Instead of presenting again their solutions, which we have heard, is more to know who is going to use those solutions. How do you get your hands on it? Because as a content creator, I also feel like it's very hard to invest your time and your talent in a tool. And you need this tool to be sustainable somehow, to feel confident that it will stay alive and for a while. Because if you're developing knowledge in a platform or in a tool, you really wish to see it live for many years. So yeah, if you don't have special questions, I guess in 5 minutes we will start this roundtable with the previous speakers. Thank you very much for hearing my speech, and I'm sorry if it feels a bit improvised, but yeah, if you have any question or if you want to contact me, I gave you my website in the chat and you can contact me. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Maud. And just like you said, we will start again in 5 minutes, so you can have all have a coffee or smoke break if you wish.
can all the speakers from previous session can join me on stage and take a seat? Thank you. So Jordan, Frederic, and we are missing Lights. Frederic? Frederic Lecompte, êtes-vous là? No.
Sitting.
Hi, Maud. This is Gerda. I'm supposed to be also on this panel. Is this okay if I also go on stage?
Sure. I wasn't aware of this, but welcome.
Oh, hi, Maud. Yeah, well, Harriet put me into this panel, so I'm...
Okay. Can we have the proper background, maybe, from technical crew, if you have a background with the panelist of this roundtable? Instead of my website?
Yeah, it will be on the left. We have, for the main web screen, a presentation from Gerda, which will be
okay.
Showed.
So first, Gerda is doing a presentation of her activity, and then we have the roundtable. Is it?
I think that's it.
Okay, so let's do that. So Gerda, yeah, you can go on the front of the stage.
Okay. Yeah, hi and hello. My name is Gerda Leopold. I am the director from Amilux Film. We are a virtual reality company which is creating, virtual reality stories with a lot of content. And we created a few years ago the film Balla Vita, the 360 film Balla Vita, which was about a dancer in a fantasy world. And now we are working on another project, which is now a lot more interactive. It's about the painter Egon Schiele, who died in 1918, very, very young, was 28 years from Spanish flu. And we are going to visit him. And he's very happy that he is not alone. And we're going to ask him, and he is very happy to be with us, and he really wants to draw us. And while he's drawing us, he's asking us various questions. And we answer this question either with yes or no. And then after that, the narration tree spreads, and he's telling us a certain moment, very important moment from his life, which we will see through his eyes. And like this one here, where we are basically with his little sister in his kind of room, and they're playing, and the mad father is coming, and we experience the whole family situation. And then we go back to him, and he's asking us another question. And the whole story will be basically, we have 4 questions with 4 flashbacks, but everybody, of course, experiences a different storyline depending on their answers. And at the end of it, everybody will get a drawing of themselves in the style of Egon Schiele. And we are now working this. We have made a prototype last year, and now we are working to kind of, make the final film. And we're also trying to get a special room where we have about 15 people who can see the whole experience at once. So yes, this is quite ambitious, but it looks good, and it's great fun working on this project. So in a few moments, this is basically what this is about. Oh, sound's gone.
No, so sound is fine. I can hear you. Good.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So this was a very short and fast presentation because I think you really want to kind of, go on talk about other things. I wasn't sure really.
Okay, thank you. Maybe you can join us in the sitting panel then.
Yeah, of course, love to.
And Frederic Lecompte, can you hear us? Frederic Lecompte, are you there? Well, can start without him and see if he will join sometimes. So let me take a seat. Well, so to summarize a little bit every presentation that we saw, we started with augmented reality tools and presentation of a project called LinkMe with Gerda Leopold. Then we had Frederic from Backligth presenting his whole adventure in the entertainment industry, creating games for LBE venues. Then we had Paul Doyle presenting the MetaHumans for Epic Games. And finally, we have Gerda, who's also a creator, sort of like me, and a producer. So my question is, as we heard a lot about everything that was more technical in general, I wanted to know more, especially also for Gerda and Jordane, what was your creative challenges while creating AR experiences for, as we saw in the video, museums, but maybe you had created other things. How do you approach that creatively, and did you face many challenges? And the question is a bit an open discussion between every one of us to say what were your creative challenge. So maybe Groover, you can start answering that.
Thank you, Maud. Maybe I'll let Jordan explain more about the creative challenges of about creating AR models, because as I explained earlier, Light and Shadows in our partnerships are creating the models. So Jordan, if you want to.
Yes, I'm going to jump in. Thank you for the question, Maud. It's really relevant because yes, there is like lots of challenges in the creation process. So apart from the technical specificities of AR, I would say that the most relevant information in creating AR is what does the client want, and more important is what does the final user of the application, in our case, want to see. I explained like a bit shortly in our presentation that one of the part of the creation process from Light and Shadows was the animation of the AR, because when you have something moving, it's always more engaging. If I take the example of using LinkMe, for example, for education purposes, and let's say we want to use AR to augment the experience of a children's books, then of course we need to add an animation, we need to add sound, but we always need to take into account what's the final user wants to see, and if the AR in this case really bring value and how it can bring value. That's would be my take.
Okay, nice to hear. And Gerda, what about you?
Well, the challenges are to get, the first challenge is how to create a player, which is, for voice activation, which runs basically for 15 people pretty much at the same time. And the other thing is to get the AI application ready for creating a drawing in the style, in the style of Egon Schiele. So this is basically our two biggest technical challenges in our experience.
Okay. That leads me to another question once again for all of you. So we see many offers for XR content creation tools with a no-code promise. is it the way to follow, or do you think otherwise, either for the creators or for the software providers? And again, maybe Groover, you can answer that.
Sorry, turning my mic on. So your question is about the no-code experience to create models, AR, XR models.
Yeah. To create AR experiences, yeah, because more and more we see tools to allow anyone to create something way by ear, and you do way by ear, of course. So, what would be your thoughts about this way of going with the non-code, allowing anyone to create cool AR experiences and so on?
Well, I think it's unavoidable, this no-code trend. We can see it now in the XR environment, but we can also notice it in like development, UI, the development of front end, of UI for web design, for instance. We have more and more tools allowing no-code experiences. And yeah, I think it's pretty great to be able to skip this very technical layer of having to know how to code, and it gives more people the opportunity to create cool experience. So I think it's a good trend, and of course there will always be this kind of also the need for the code or more technical layer if you want to push things further. But yeah, I think it's great for the. It's great
So
to have
you
this
don't
no code.
see it as a threat for your business?
Oh, not really. Not really.
Okay. And what about you, Gerda? You were also talking about this player and everything. So what do you think about the non-code trend?
I have to say, this is really hitting me on my worst leg, because I'm not really a technician, and I'm really a content person, and I'm basically the writer and creating the ideas. So actually, my shout to you all is, please, if anybody could help us with that, writing this code, we would be really very grateful. And because we do need some help, and this is not easy, because somehow with voice activation, it seems, at least in Germany and Austria, that's our countries where we basically move around, there has not been a lot of development. So if you could, know someone, or if you are someone who is into that, please get in touch.
Thanks. Yeah, that's a great answer, because we all have different needs. And from a creator perspective, as you say, it's sometimes hard to find the tool to create yourself, at least at the beginning, when you don't have yet enough funding to make your first proof of concept and stuff like that. And most of the time in immersive field, especially, can be very expensive and hard to do that. And that leads me to, yeah.
Well, we have the first proof of concept, but of course it's only for one person at the time. And as I said, last year we shot the prototype where you answer 2 questions. But yeah, I mean, it's a real challenge. Because of course we send the voice activation, we send it to a database somewhere, out in the internet space, and then it kind of comes back and it works, but it doesn't work maybe for 15 people at once. So yeah, that's the problem. But we do have the prototype.
Okay. And for, again, each of you, I was just checking if Frederic from Backligth joined us, but he doesn't seem to have. I wonder what kind of talents you need today, because in the virtual reality, augmented reality field, you said Groover and Jordan, you're kind of working together, and Jordan is more on the artistic side and modeling and so on. But what are the missing talents today for you? Or is it hard to find people to work with who are skilled enough, or are you teaching them everything from scratch? How do you do? And first I will ask you again, Groover or Jordan, one of you two, if you can answer that, about the talent you would need to continue your activity. Don.
If I can start maybe on our side, talents are not that hard to find. We have 2 different kind of profile at Light and Shadows, the 3D artists and the developers. We find developers pretty much everywhere because and that's a very good thing. We see more and more people coming out of schools, and I would say even more and more girls going out of school, and girls developers, which is also very good because it adds diversity to the companies, and especially in tech companies where we don't see a lot of diversity. 3D artists are more complicated to find because there are less schools of 3D artists, and that would be our challenge to find. And regarding the training, we usually have a training also in-house. I also said that in the presentation that Light and Shadows was I wouldn't say famous, but people know that the production of Light and Shadows are kind of a good quality, and we try to raise the level of training of all our 3D artists to reach excellency in realistic design.
Okay, nice to hear. And what about you, Gerda? What are your thoughts about the talent you would need, except yourself, but around you, surrounding you for your projects?
Well, the talents we would need is definitely, yes. Anything which goes into post-production, like, yeah, we do need some 3D artists. And I mean, the thing is, you know, we need what is always good, because I've worked with people from in another country, and, you know, the problem is, you know, it's great. The internet connections are great these days, but, you know, if you're not in the same city or not even in the same country, it's sometimes, you know, really difficult to get ideas across. If you meet someone for real, you know, it's a completely different way of working with someone. So yeah, I mean, we really need to stock up our team here in Vienna, and we really need a lot of post-production people from 3D artists to, yeah, and especially writing codes for our player, as I said before. Really what we would need.
All right. So if you are a 3D artist in the room, hear that. Or a post-production person, you can be hired. I think I will finalize with one last question, maybe before taking one or two questions in the audience, if you want. For each of you, do you feel like your respective market is very early stage? Is it mature? Because as you said, Groover, maybe now I mean, Jordan, you said that it was very easy to find developers, so it means it's a bit more mature. Maybe 3 years ago it was harder to find developers, but is it in a very mature phase or still early stage? How do you feel about it, Jordan?
It really depends on the field of our clients. If I'm talking for Light and Shadows, one of the first industries that we were engaged with was the automotive industry. And we know that VR and AR content is kind of yeah, really relevant for those industry. And I would say that in the automotive market, the VR and AR technology is really mature right now, because they know what they want, and they have like a precise idea of what they want as application, for example. But in some other markets, such as like maybe heavy industry, some other like in the manufacturing sector, the market is not really mature, because like there's still lots of people in France and all over the world that haven't tried a VR headset on. This is changing. This is changing rapidly, thanks to Oculus, Facebook, HTC, and all the big boys of the industry. But yeah, I think that it really depends on some industries.
Okay, I'm just checking because I thought of I heard someone trying to speak. No, It's still not okay. So what do you think? Not yet the Gangnam Style. Later. Yeah, and Gerda, what is your thought about this early stage or mature industry on your side?
Well, I would say, so there was a player, very unexpected, who was really giving this industry a huge push, and this was Corona. I think, it really, a lot of people who had never been in headsets before suddenly went into headsets. And also, when I hear about fashion shows being created as basically for VR headsets, then that's really huge. I mean, this is a huge step.
That's true.
I think, where the industry has really matured is in photogrammetry and in creating 3D environments. What we are doing, basically filming real people with real, in real backgrounds, basically a film, is still, at the beginning. Although, 2 or 3 years, this was not possible, because I always tried not to work in animation. Not that I like animation, but I thought, this is somehow not my field. But I really like to work with real actors in real environments. And this is now possible, but it's still early stages there.
Yeah, that's true. And to take on that, Groover and Jordan, have you ever created a photogrammetry experience in augmented reality?
On my side, I don't think so.
Me neither.
Okay, because it sounds like a new trend also, because Gerda was talking about it, to have a museum sculpture in photogrammetry and then in augmented reality to see them from closer, turn around and so on. I think it's going to become another trend, I guess.
Yeah, but I think it's going to be a challenge as well, because photogrammetry and AR specifically, because like I think the weight of the files of a point cloud is really heavy, and to have it in AR, I think like I would say like at a museum stage. But you're right. It will become a trend, because just look at the new generation of iPhone having lidar integrated directly in the hardware. You can take photogrammetry pretty easily of small object, and I think that would be easy to have those small objects into an AR experience.
Yeah, and Groover, what do you think about this photogrammetry, videogrammetry trend?
Yeah, I think as Jordan say, it will still be a challenge. Also, a lot for this weight of the files. And to be honest, I'm not really an expert on this part. So I don't know really much about this about this topic.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if anyone from the audience has one last question, because if not, we will conclude here. And if you have, you can just unmute yourself just to speak and ask the question. Anyone? No. So you can speak to the speakers on stage anyway afterwards. When we conclude, I guess you can stay maybe 5-10 minutes if you have time to speak with some of our audience members. So thank you everyone for attending. Thank you for all the speakers who presented great tools and innovations and markets. Thanks everyone.
Thank you, Maud.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for the virtual applause. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. I will jump off, but nice to meet you.
C'est normal, il est vide. Allô, vous m'entendez?
Oui, Christophe?
Oui.
On entend très bien.
En fait, je vais sur conférence, et il me propose conférence hall.
Ah, vous êtes pour l'événement Soprasteria?
Oui.
Ok. Alors du coup, ce sera, si je dis pas de bêtises, Massive Immersive Arena,
Ah, je trouve ça où là?
tout en bas en fait. Une
Ah,
fois que vous êtes
d'accord.
cliqué sur Aller, et puis
Et là, je vais dans
Auditorium.
l'auditorium, d'accord.
Hello Julie.
Salut François.
Tu veux t'asseoir? Bonjour Virginie.
Toi, tu m'entends?
Oui, je t'entends, oui.
Et est-ce que tu entends la conférence ou pas?
Non, non par contre, je ne sais pas comment on fait.
Et Virginie, elle nous entend pas non plus.
Ben, c'est qu'elle a un problème avec son micro parce que.
Si elle nous entend, qu'a dit. Mais tu peux parler du coup? En chat avec elle.
Le chat, c'est en bas à gauche, c'est ça?
Ouais.
Comment tu fais pour t'adresser à une personne?
Eh ben, comment j'ai fait? Sur le nom de la personne est un menu déroulant, je crois.
Faut que je retrouve. Je crois que je ne trouve plus dans le menu déroulant. Ah si,
Attends.
je la trouve.
T'es où toi? T'es là?
Oui, un chat privé, voilà. Ça y est. Ça y est.
Mais du coup, on peut pas parler à plusieurs. Bon, ben écoute, c'est pas que je m'ennuie, mais...
Ben, après, tu vas où tu veux continuer ta visite. Hein.
Aller manger, je crois.
Ouais, ok. Bon, ben voilà.
Allez, à plus.
C'était
Ciao.
une expérience, à plus.
Bonjour Morgane, est-ce que vous m'entendez? Alors, je crois que vous m'entendez, mais du coup, vous ne pouvez pas parler, je crois. On vous entend pas.